12-team college football playoff is absolutely ass.
12-team college football playoff is off to a terrible start.
Good.
What the fuck was that? Oh, that was a question
right
feature
now.
of the four of
This
us.
is an excuse for trash-ass teams. Just
game.
no games.
Do you guys have any idea how bad you just made
None.
the first
None.
12-team playoff?
This was college
After the
football.
first round, you give us everyone saying it was a mistake, buddy.
We're going to Ohio State, Georgia, Notre Dame, looking like great matchups.
No, for seeding this
After one of the most enthralling years in college football that saw 17-year-olds having breakout seasons, some of the most impressive catches we've ever seen on video, and while smaller college studs were getting snubbed out, bigger college studs were getting subbed out. Sorry, Travis, just please sign the prenup, bro. We are all rooting for you. We are officially in bowl season, and with that, finished with round one of the biggest tournament in college football history, and it was trash. That shit was buns. But what in the world went wrong? We've been excited all year at the possibility to see teams like SMU and Indiana be able to throw their hat in the national championship ring for the first time, and to finally have a system where any of our favorite teams could have any opportunity to go further than ever before. But after round one, we're starting to realize one thing. What's the point of more teams if the best teams are just going to demolish them anyways? For years, I'd always wondered why such a cash grab of a committee like the NCAA had never introduced a larger playoff format, and now I'm beginning to see why. More teams doesn't mean more fun, and we are now witnessing the catalyst of our own greed. More games, more teams, the possibilities are endless, until every favorited team bends the other one over and spanks them for trespassing, bro. As it stands right now, the committee is up 1-0 on the fans, as their 4-team format of old looks to be more effective. But will a second round even the score and bring more entertaining games? Should we downsize to 8 teams or continue with the plan of integrating 2 more next year? Is the old 14 playoff format the best one imaginable? Who can we expect to thrive in round 2? Who will come up with the national championship, and will it just be another juggernaut? How many questions can I pack into this format to buff the video length? All of those questions, except the last one, and more will be answered. But first, a message from the College Football Playoff Executive Director, Rich Clark himself.
Hey everybody, it's me, Rich Clark. This is the first football-related video on this YouTube channel, and depending on how many of you click that subscribe button and like button, we will be sure to do more. Strictly Sports is about to cover a lot more sports than just the NBA, so if you're a fan of sports, be sure to subscribe right now. And if you hate your parents, then do not subscribe. I repeat, if you hate your parents, then don't subscribe. Alright, I've got to get back to making more money than your entire bloodline whilst pissing off all 50 states of the United States year after year after year. Enjoy the video. A few nights ago, round one of the 12-team playoff began, where we saw the daunting Notre Dame Fighting Irish take on the underdog Indiana, and the underdog got stomped on. But things got more interesting when the daunting Penn State Nittany Lions took on the underdog SMU, a matchup sure to rescue the boring game of yesterday, and the underdog got stomped on. But now it was time to stop playing around, as the final 2 matchups were sure to be the best of the first round. Underdog Clemson taking on Big Dog Texas, the Battle of the Orange, the one we've all been waiting for. The game was dead at halftime. But now it was time for the, oh my god, for God's sakes, are you kidding me? Let's be honest, the first round of the playoffs was an absolute dud, and in its wake, people are now starting to turn on the new all-inclusive format and realize the added teams are unnecessary because it creates an even bigger problem. If these underdog schools start to show that they don't belong in the playoff, they will just become strength of schedule-based playoffs, and we'll start to see teams with near-perfect records get snubbed out of their rightful place in the playoffs. The one thing that this was designed to fix for good. So as it stands, we're stuck between bad games with the team that doesn't belong or slightly better games with the team that didn't earn it. Both of those sound like an absolute chore, which has made advocates for the 4-team playoffs speak up after the games. But my question is, where the hell were all of you when Florida State got snubbed? I can bet my life that there wasn't anyone defending the format then. And just because this year's round one was horrible, that doesn't mean that 5 years from now we won't be seeing some crazy upset putting Kansas in the final 8 or a team like Ohio. This format has the potential to prove itself right, with the only question being when. We have to give it time. But hey, the one way we can save the 12-team format for good is with an interesting round 2, one where underdogs genuinely win or at least put up a fight. So let's take a look at the matchups and make the greatest prediction known to man. on. And if you know my record with predictions, you know that I am pretty damn good. Why are they showing that? Don't show that number. Hey, take that off the screen. If there's any game to save the entertainment levels of the college football playoff this year, my money is definitely on the one that came down to the final play the last time they faced off earlier this year. The matchup between these two teams set the college football world on fire with one of the most entertaining watches all season earlier this year, but this time around, it's hard to tell if the hype will hold up. First of all, since this matchup, not counting whatever the hell this game was, Oregon has looked unbeatable. Dylan Gabriel is insane, this defense is insane, and honestly, the only time they've been called into question, not counting whatever the hell this game was, is against this Ohio State team. And Ohio State has looked really solid all season, despite almost blowing this game to Nebraska, and of course, the elephant in the room, this game versus Michigan. But after what we all witnessed them do to Tennessee, I'd argue they're in the best shape they've been in all season long. No matter what happens between these two, it's sure to be extremely entertaining, but give me a more polished team in Oregon with this one. A score of 42-33, Oregon moves on. Speaking of the most entertaining games of the season, we can't forget this classic from Georgia facing Georgia Tech. The Bulldogs have been impeccable to watch this season, boasting some of the most solid wins and some of the most questionable performances at the same time. That being said, I won't say too much about this one because Notre Dame has been absolutely incredible since the NIU loss, and Carson Butt-Fugly Beck is set to miss this game, so give me Notre Dame in a game that will probably be closer than most people think. Notre Dame 23, Georgia 17. Now listen carefully and hear me out. Listen carefully and hear me out. Texas is favored in this game by nearly 2 touchdowns. They're ranked higher, they play tougher competition, and are coming off a really solid win against Clemson. But I'm not counting out this red-hot ASU team just yet. To me, Texas just seems like a jumbled, unfinished mess, whilst Arizona State just feels more and more collected against really solid teams. And yeah, you could argue that Texas's game against Georgia is as collected against competition as a team could get, but something in my gut is telling me to take a team peaking as a whole right now rather than one that just looks raw to me. It'll be an offensive clash, but Texas is less consistent in these kinds of games, and their defense has been giving me a headache to watch recently. Give me the STD University in a really good football game. 45-41, ASU is moving on in an upset. This matchup will be the last stronghold to defend the larger 12-team format, and I couldn't be more excited to watch it play out. Let's take a look at these two teams' resumes, okay? Penn State played the best team in the country, and it came down to the last play. Boise State played the best team in the country, and it came down to the last play. Penn State has a top 10 offense, so does Boise. Penn State has an insane run game. Boise State has Ashton Genty, but where Penn State excels over Boise State is on the defensive side of the ball. Look, Penn State's defense is a problem, especially their run defense with guys like Abdul Carter and Kobe King, but if there's an offense, more specifically a player, that can absolutely set this playoff on fire and give everyone something to talk about, saving this format, breaking records, and knocking that Heisman chip off his shoulder, it's that dread-headed running back in the blue making noise for Boise State. That's right, I'm talking about John Brez Dubar. No, I'm kidding. I'm talking about Ashton Genty. I'm just trying to keep this interesting, okay? I'm trying to keep you engaged. And speaking of keeping things interesting and engaging, this game is going to be insane. It'll be a fun watch, but in the end, I'll take Penn State with a score of 24-20. I just can't overlook that defense in this one. In the end, if things play out the way I expect them to, which we've established that they always do, then we will be treated to an incredible remainder of the college football playoff. And again, no matter what happens this year, the sheer possibilities this holds is enough to keep every college football fan on the edge of their seat until early January. I think the format may look pointless now, but in 5 years' time, we will have bore witness to some of the greatest games, stories, and championship runs in the history of the sport. Just as long as Bill Belichick flops with North Carolina. That's all I have for you guys. Let me know what other sports and topics you'd like me to cover as I'm trying to branch out, and I just want to thank you guys real quick for an incredible year. It's really important to me to be able to do this and make a little money from it, so thank you. But until next time, happy holidays, even though it's probably already 2025 when this video comes out, and subscribe, it's free.